friend, it's King Gabriel again, here for another impromptu video. Tonight's topic is protection. Protection is usually seen as something that we need to have to survive, right? Or to make sure that everything is alright, right? To make sure that nothing from outside gets in to disturb our peace or to in any way harm us. But you have to realize that the moment that you start speaking of protection, it has to be from a human perspective, because it's only a being that's limited to a body in some way that would need protection, right? Something that is separate from something else. There must be a something else to be protected from in order to have protection. And I'm not saying that protection is a bad thing at all. What I'm saying is the awareness of protection is also the awareness of duality. Because it says that, again, there is something outside that can hurt or harm that individual. And then it becomes an individual circumstance. So I'm not saying that we have to get all hyped up and leave the idea of protection out and tell people when they say it that, hey, you know what? You shouldn't use that word protection. Because really, on a cellular level, in a sense, there is protection taking place for the organism as a whole as well, right? When I say on a cellular level and then I speak of the organism as a whole, what I mean is the cells themselves, right, realize things that are toxic, and they take in the nutrients in the body and release all that is toxic. So they're taking care on the cellular level of the entire organism, because they get rid of the toxins and they have consciousness within them to discern what is toxic and what is non-toxic, right? And they get rid of all that is toxic, and you excrete it in waste in different forms. If it isn't efficient through your bowel movement, then eventually it'll come through the skin, right? But it must find a way out, because it's not meant to be there, right? So just like that, just like the natural order of the body is to remove those toxins from your system, and you sometimes remove it in sweat as well, just like that, there is a way that you as a being can rest in the love intelligence that we spoke about, coming from above again and moving through the system. We can actually rest in that love intelligence and allow those toxins to be removed from our lives as well. If it's toxic relationships where we're in disharmony and all is in distress, if it's things that are upsetting to us on any level, we need not concern ourselves with those things and make them into big deals for us that we think we individually have to take care of, because the idea of going to handle it individually puts us in response to it, and by being in response to it, we go to that magnetic level, and then we're reactive again, and being reactive is exactly what keeps us again in that cycle of seeing it over and over again. Because as we see it, we then think of ourselves as it or in relation to it. We become it. And in becoming it, we must experience it over and over again. So the only way to really get up out of those situations where protection is needed is to turn to love intelligence, turn to your source, turn to what some would call God, turn to whatever it is that's there, that's real for you, that is sustaining life and keeping you healthy and alive. Turn to that. If you call it the absolute, Allah, whatever you call it, turn and ask. You don't ask for protection from something, but you ask that you realize yourself as you really are. You ask that you realize that there is improvement to be made here. Help me to make this improvement. And in that open space, in that space of listening and receptivity, something comes in there and allows the vibration to shift. So it's more about allowance than anything else. The allowing of that vibration, that new information, that love intelligence that I'm speaking about to come into the field and work on the magnetic level to help you, where you're not deliberately taking it up upon your conscious mind to make that effort. You're allowing yourself to be governed by the psyche in relationship to the soul. The psyche focused on the soul, You focused on the consciousness or divine consciousness, love, intelligence. These are the things that allow us to have new ideas and see things flow in a way that is beneficial for all. It won't just be beneficial for us as individuals. It'll be beneficial for the whole. We'll find ourselves not reacting, not turning around to cuss a person out or whatever. We'll be there, we'll be present, we'll realize, okay, this person is going through this. And instead of reacting, flaring up, getting ready to fire a few punches or whatever, we'll turn within and ask, you know what? I realize that this is the situation here. I need an improvement in this experience right now. Can you help me to get through this? Can you help me to find the qualities that I need to move through this gracefully? Can you help me to come closer to my real self, come closer to the divine consciousness that is within me? Can I express that? Can I express the love that is within me instead of whatever else is there? And in that way we move closer and closer because it's a choice. And as we choose the same choice to move towards divine consciousness continually, we develop a consciousness form that is stronger and stronger. And then the choice that we make naturally, automatically, will be that choice. And that's the difference. We either build up that or we build up the other side, which is we get upset, we flare up, we go off the rocker. And then when we do that, well, that's the natural way of responding also. So it's always a choice. And if there is any freedom of choice in the entire universe, then this is it. The freedom of choice is the choice to either go towards the craziness or go towards the soul. Divine consciousness, love, intelligence. Those are the choices we have. It's never about the things. The things are representations. The things present themselves because of our consciousness and where it's focused. But the things themselves are just representations of our consciousness. What we choose between is sanity or insanity, love or the absence of love, which some see as fear. And if we were to get into fear itself, just want to give you a quick analogy or a quick definition, that would help you forward in terms of fear. If you look at fear itself, some people say it's false evidence appearing real, but any evidence that we have becomes very real to us, and on the individual level, it does really seem to be real, right? And yes, we could call it false evidence, but when we've believed in it with all the power that we have, we make it very real. So it is no longer really false evidence. It's real evidence because we believe in that, right? However, what we can do about that is recognize that fear itself is actually focusing your energy on an alternate reality. So think about fear as focusing energy on alternate realities. Any reality we choose and we decide to have will become very, very real to us because that's the power we have. We're very powerful, way beyond what we actually understand. And so when we embrace things and we look at it as if it's a fearful situation, we give it life. We give life to it so that it can live and it can be present in our experience to the max. And the more we react to it, the more real it becomes. So really and truly, if we're focusing upon something that we do not enjoy, it's up to us to make that shift. To shift our energy from where it is to something else. And as we shift from where it is to something else, that something else becomes present. We become reactive to that something else, or we can become present to that something else and have it be enjoyable to us, right? So we want to move out of reactivity, move into the stillness, be still and know that I am God and all of that stuff. Move into the stillness where we're in contact with love intelligence, not on that magnetic level back and forth, left and right, swinging with the pendulum, but present to that center, observing things, enjoying things, and not necessarily reacting to things or things of our past or future or whatever it is. Just being fully present to that. Right? And that's what we're able to do. Now, one way to look at this, I want to break it down in one other way and then I'm out. It's this, awareness. Now, awareness is the container for consciousness as we described earlier. So what I've noticed in my experience, we just had a baby here and they were giving us all these things that could possibly go wrong when we went to the midwives for a bit and all that. But what is not being recognized is that whatever we focus that attention on for that moment, when it is introduced, it is now in awareness. It has always been in awareness, but it comes up in awareness consciousness in a sense, or consciousness awareness, because then it is known. It is seen, it is known. And when it is seen and known, energy can be given to it and it can have life. Before that, it had no chance of having life because it wasn't even seen. It was whatever. And the way that this was shown in stats was that in Europe, there was this one thing that they were describing to us, but I won't describe it to you because I won't want to share that with you and have you have that. But the thing that they were having, in Europe, they don't test for it at all. It doesn't even exist in their research and all that. And only something like 10% of the people there experience that thing. In the US, they test for that thing. They look out for that thing. They tell people about that thing beforehand. And 70% of the people, the kids, show up with that thing, that illness, right? In Canada, which is where we are, they go half and half. They talk about it, right? But then they try to say, well, you know, the chances of you having it are low. So there's a kind of doubtful thing to it there. So only 40% of the people show it. But if you look at the stats across the board, what it shows is that without the focus on it whatsoever, it's not there. It's almost not present. Those who get it probably went looking for it and found out about it and brought it into their awareness, right? In Canada, where they go half-half, the result is much lower, but it's still more on the US side because they learned that information from them and some of the midwives are from there. However, in the US, where they focus on it and they know it's present, the numbers are way high, way higher than normal. And that's just a matter of focus. So once again, it's about focusing that attention on where it is. And we don't necessarily need protection in the form of vaccines and all these things. What we need is protection in terms of turning to the source of being. Turning to what is really there, what is real. Turn to the real. And I'm not forcing you to turn to the real in that way. But what I'm saying is, by turning to the real, we make our job way easier. The cells get protected. They know what to do. We are just like cells. If we were to take our time and fall into that space of love, let that love intelligence flow through us, then what we would be having is a harmonious life. We would feel at peace. We would feel calm all the time. We'd be able to share, and we'd be always in contact with things to be able to help those around us. Because we'd be in that space where we were serving our exact purpose. We would not be running around looking for a purpose. We would know that we were serving our purpose. And that is what I have to share with you today. I hope this makes a difference in your life. If it does, continue, check out my site, learn a bit more, maybe join one of my courses or stuff, and we could do stuff together. We could move on together, you know. This is really what I do. I enjoy doing it, and I love connecting with you in this way. I know that we can do great things.